Hey Crafty Mavens, it's Vanessa here with a Sketch It process video today, and I showed there the December mood board, and then here is the sketch, which is from scrapbook.com, and the link for that will be below. Here I am just going through and showing you the things that I pulled from my stash for this layout. I am using all things from my stash so that we're going to do some homemade embellishments. I am using papers from a paper pad that I do not have any pre-made embellishments for, so that is why we're going to make our own for this layout. And so the first thing that I'm going to do here is take this Martha Stewart branch punch, which was popular quite a few years ago, and I punched out a whole bunch of those branches on a whole bunch of different pieces of pattern paper there that you just saw the scraps for. The next thing that I do here is I am going to die cut a few of those circles, and then I am going to take this other branch die that you saw at the beginning, and I'm going to end up die cutting about 4 of these, which don't actually end up making it to the final layout, but I did leave it in the process. So these are being punched on or die cut on a gray piece of pattern paper with some white snowflakes. So I thought originally that I was going to use these around the photo on the layout, but ultimately they don't make the cut. So one of the nice things when you are using a paper pad and you don't have any pre-made embellishments, it's a great time to make your own and pull out some of those tools that we all have that we probably don't use as much as we thought we would when we bought them. And so that is definitely what I'm doing today. So as you saw, I had that Martha Stewart punch, I've used my Big Shot, and now I'm taking some stamps and we are going to do some embossing. So I have 3 stamps here that you're going to see. One is I believe it's sort of like an ornament, and then one is a hexagon with some words, and then the other is a snowflake. And each one of these I am going to go ahead and stamp and then put the embossing powder, which is in silver, on each of the stamped images. I do have to go off camera to heat emboss these because my embossing gun is not close to my desk, but you can at least see the process here, and I'll show you the finished product in a moment. So each one of these gets stamped, and this will add sort of a little bit of glitz to the page. Once these are embossed, they're nice and shiny. And here you see I'm showing those embossed stamped images. And the next thing that I decide to do is those die cut circles were feeling a little bit plain, and ultimately you really don't see a lot of this stamping in the end, but I did grab one of the stamp pads, and it not the stamp pad, but the stamps, and it had these little snowflake stamps on it, and I went ahead and just put them on my acrylic block, and I'm just taking some black ink and I'm just randomly stamping the snowflakes on these circles. Like I said, you really don't see them in the final result, but it does peek through a little bit, so it does give a little bit of interest to each of those circles. And here you see I'm kind of laying out those embossed images will go on each of those circles. Now the next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut down my photo a little bit, and this photo is a picture of my daughter, and we're actually at Disney, and she is sitting in front of some presents, and so we had the photographer take a few pictures of her. She was only young here. She was probably 2, maybe 3, probably 3, I think, in these pictures, and she was in her Aurora dress for this one, and so we had them take a few pictures of her, so she's looking all cute in front of these little presents. I believe this was at Epcot, and so that is the picture I'm scrapping today. So not a whole lot to say about this picture. It's just a really cute picture of my daughter in her little dress and being all cute in front of these Christmas presents. So here you see I am going to mat my photo with just a piece of scrap white cardstock. And I felt like if I didn't mat my photo, I don't think in this sketch the photo is matted, but I felt like on this, because the colors were so dark, or the background was so dark, that my photo would get a little bit lost if I didn't mat it. So I did decide to go ahead and do that. Now I'm just taking those papers that you saw. Each one of these is cut at about 2 or maybe 1.5 inches. And these are going to be those banner pieces that are in the sketch that go behind the photo. So I'm just kind of laying everything out here so I can get an idea of how this is all going to go together. And I'm going to lay out the circles, and then I'm going to do something that if I had been thinking, I would have pulled out my stamp platform, but I didn't end up doing that. And so it's a little bit nerve-wracking, especially watching it back on video. I'm like, oh my goodness, I really should have used my stamp platform because this could have went horribly wrong. But what I decided to do is I wanted to pull out my stamps, and I wanted to have part of my title be a stamp. And so in addition to having it be stamped, I also wanted to emboss it. So here's where, yeah, it would have been a great idea to pull out my stamp platform. And if you have one, I would recommend doing that. But I didn't. I just grabbed my ruler and laid everything out like you saw, and then figured out where I wanted to stamp my title. So yeah, it's a bit nerve-wracking because if I had to restamp this, it would have been bad. I probably would never have gotten it in the same spot again. But you're going to see here, I'm going to get it all lined up. I'm going to take some embossing liquid that I have in a bottle actually, and I'm going to put it on this stamp, and then we're going to stamp it. And again, as you saw with the other embellishments that I've done, I'm going to heat emboss it off camera, and you will see the final result here in a second. So I'm just getting it all lined up and stamped, and then I'm going to put that embossing powder down. So if you're enjoying this video and all of the Crafty Maven videos, make sure that you have subscribed and you hit that like button. And if you're liking these videos from me, I will have my information down below as well. So the next thing that I'm doing here, I have this banner punch, which is one of those punches that you buy and you go, oh, I'm going to use it all the time. And I never use it because normally I hand cut these, but because I said I need to use my tools more, I pulled that banner punch out. And so now all my banners are perfectly even, which if I cut them by hand probably wouldn't have been. So I grabbed that punch and I did those banners. And now I am going to lay out all of my embellishment clusters that we are making from scratch to go on this layout. And here you see those branches that I thought I was going to use, and they were going to go behind the photo. They don't stay in the final one, but I'm playing with them thinking that they are going to go right there. The next thing, over to the side there, you see all of those little branch punched images that I did at the beginning. There's a lot of them, and basically what I'm going to do is around each of those circles, I am going to take inspiration from the mood board and create little wreaths. And so I do about 2 layers of those punched little branches around each of the circles. And then in the center of those circles, I will put those embossed stamped images, and those will sort of complete the wreaths that echo the circle embellishments that you see on the sketch. So I stayed pretty close to the sketch for this one, and I'm just gonna kind of build out each one of these little wreath clusters. And I don't glue everything on camera because this took quite a while. Lots of little dots of glue, and putting those little branches down took quite a while for sure. So here you see I am trying to decide now on my title. I did decide to grab these red, I believe these are My Mind's Eye letter stickers to complete my title, which is Christmas Cutie, because that's what she is. And In a moment here, I'm going to have it all glued down and show you the final result. The still photos are coming up. I did add some white snowflake sequins. And with that, guys, that is the end of this layout, and I will catch you on the next one. Be sure to subscribe to the Crafty Maven and come back tomorrow for another video. Talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.